Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the GSMC Golf Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you guys today, where we'll be reviewing Davis Riley's win at the Charles Schwab Challenge. This is his first win on tour by himself. He has another tour win at the Zurich Classic of New Orleans, but that is a partner tournament. So this is his first tournament by himself that he won, and he won in dominant fashion. Our second segment will be me discussing the rest of the leaderboard at Fort Worth and how that shaped up and what it really means as we get into the dog days of summer with a bunch of great tournaments coming up, including the Canadian Open. Our third segment will be me talking about the impacts on coaches on the PGA Tour. With Davis Riley's win, he noted that his coach helped out a lot as he rehired his old coach that he was working with that got him a win in Zurich or in New Orleans. So I just want to talk about how important that can be for a player. Our fourth segment of the night will be me talking about Scottie Scheffler and whether or not, in my opinion, he is kind of slowing down from his dominant run or if he's just beginning his dominant run. And then we will finally finish off the show with talking about the RBC Canadian Open. We're not going to be previewing it as much as just talking about what happened last year, the kind of history behind it, and what it means for a lot of these Canadian golfers on the tour. But before we get into all of that, guys, if you would like to donate, help out with the show in any ways, you can use the tips and donations link at the GSMCpodcast.net. You know, if you have any questions, you can put it in the box and then it'll show up on the screen. It really helps out all the creators here at the GSMC Sports Network as well. So if you guys want to help out in any way, GSMCpodcast.net is the link for that. But without further ado, we're going to get right into talking about Davis Riley's win at the Charles Schwab Challenge. I almost said RBC Canadian Open. That's the next week. But Davis Riley winning his first solo tournament. Very, very impressive here. He won by 5 strokes. Second place was Brian Harman and Scottie Scheffler combining at 9 under. And he wins it with a 14 under weekend, and I mean, just such an impressive one this was. Here's the round 1 scorecard. Birding 1. He played very, very well on 1 the entire week. There's not really a hole that stands out besides maybe 17. He also played very well the entire week, but round 1 he has a good front 9, and then the back 9 separates him a little bit. He came in second overall on day 1, really putting himself on the leaderboard, and from that point forward, he was really just there the entire time. A fantastic round 2 where he birdies 1 again. It's good play on 15, 16, and 6 as well. And then 17, 18 goes par and birdie, and he plays very well, Davis Riley does. On round 2, goes 6 under, takes him to 10 under on the weekend, going into moving day on Saturday. Moving day on Saturday, he finishes another fantastic round of golf. It's a birdie on 1 again. This is his 3rd straight birdie on 1 throughout the week. Has a little bit trouble around the turn. 9 and 10 are bogeys, but everywhere else birdie central. He finishes 4 under on the day, takes him to 14 under, and that's where his score finishes as he ends Sunday with even par scorecard. But that's okay because he did not need to really separate himself out anymore. Everybody was chasing him at that point, and nobody really could. 14 under going into Saturday. I believe he led by 7 strokes on the field going into Saturday, and it was just such a dominant performance for Davis Riley at the Charles Schwab Challenge. And this is the first time we're really seeing of Davis Riley playing, this well of golf. This great of golf, of course, winning at the Zurich Classic last year. He is 27 years old. He turned pro in 2019. I believe he had his first appearance on the PGA Tour in 2021, if I'm not mistaken. And ever since then, it's kind of been a uphill climb to get to this point for Davis, and he finally gets past that. So, questions of, is this what he is now? Is he going to be able to, keep contending when it comes to the PGA Tour? In the FedEx Cup standings, this does so much for him to help him out. He is not going to be participating in the RBC Canadian Open as he did withdraw. I believe, of course, just celebrating. But right now, he's 55th when it comes to the FedEx Cup standings, which puts him in safely in the top 70 for the FedEx St. Jude Championship. just below the top 50 cutoff for the BMW Championship. He is around great golfers right here in this kind of list. Jordan Spieth, Mark Hubbard, Victor Hovland, and then you got Davis Riley at 55. You also have right behind him Adam Schenk, who's been a perennial winner on tour, Emiliano Grillo at 58th, and then Maverick McNeely 61. So a lot of guys right around where he's at. Really kind of shows you how great of golf he's playing and how big that win and how big a win on tour can really do for your FedEx Cup rankings. You get 500 points for this win at the Charles Schwab Challenge, which is, just typical for any tour event, and he uses all of it really to put himself up in the FedEx Cup standings. He had 103 points going into it. Now he has 603 after the win, really placing himself comfortably in that mix. If you could see some more great results, you will see him being able to get into the top 30 for the Tour Championship. So looking forward to seeing how his rest of this season can develop for Davis Riley, who's now a PGA Tour winner. Once again, having a great weekend. But the rest of the field wasn't really that impressive. Ricky Fowler wasn't able to capitalize after I believe he had a good day 1 and 2, but fell off towards the weekend. Jordan Spieth had an amazing day 2, but completely fell off towards the weekend. Scotty Scheffler had 2 rounds in the 70s, which is completely unlike him. That's why we're going to have a little bit of a talk about him in the 4th segment. This is just not the play, but we'll talk about more about the leaderboard when it comes down to that 2nd segment of the night. But just for right now, talking about Davis Riley, yes, it's such a great moment for him. It's such a weight off his shoulders, winning the first one. You see this a bunch of times on tour, players winning the first one, and then you're now a PGA Tour winner, and now you get a little bit of confidence in your swing, a little bit of confidence in your practice. You feel a little bit better just overall, and we could definitely see that with Davis Riley, 27 years young still. So he is able to really burst onto the scene like we saw maybe Victor Hovland do a little bit last year. That guy was young and played very well. Maybe Will Zalatoris in 2019, Dustin Johnson in 2019, 2020. Kind of similar to those guys who, mid-20s, they get their first win and then they start winning a lot more. It's definitely something we could see from Davis Riley here. He has such a great... He has amazing, technique in his swing. He was so great off the tee this weekend. That's really where it separated out. His accuracy wasn't great, but it was the best of the leaderboard of the pack. I believe he only made 55% fairways, but Sunday was horrible. Everybody was missing fairways on Sunday. Don't know what that one was about. But on Thursday and Friday, he was driving the ball really, really well, very accurate with his drives, and then his approach shots were even better. And he also was top 10 in the field on putting. So this entire tournament was just his to win. He dominated the field in every aspect. I actually do have the stats. We were going to talk about this in the 3rd segment, but I'll bring them up for this, talking about Davis Riley. He was 6th in shots gained off the tee. He was 4th in shots gained or strokes gained putting, 2nd in strokes gained on approach. He was a 70% clip on scrambling. So every single aspect was so impressive. He led the field in strokes gained tee to green, which incorporates tees, greens, and tees, irons, and wedge shots all combined. So his greens in regulation were really great this weekend. This was his tournament to win. There's sometimes when just stars align for these golfers, and we might have seen it right here with this win by Davis Riley. This kind of reminds me a little bit of last year's win from Emiliano Grillo. Which one was that? I forget which tournament it was, but he had a fantastic weekend where he just separated himself last year from the pack and just dominated everybody. So this could be what we saw from Davis Riley here. I think this is a name that I'm going to be, not scrutinizing, but very much looking at when it comes to the events going forward. Of course, he withdrew from the RBC Canadian Open. The tournament doesn't mean as much to him as he is an American, so he is going to take that week off after such a special week here. Probably celebrate, stay with his family and friends. So good for him. Very happy for him. A 27-year-old getting such a great weekend, playing some fantastic golf with Davis Riley this weekend. And yeah, that'll wrap it up for our winning talk of the Charles Schwab Challenge. Next, we'll talk about a little bit of how the FedEx Cup standings have shaken up since the Charles Schwab Challenge, and how the rest of the leaderboard fell from the Charles Schwab Challenge, as Scottie Scheffler has a bad week and is still tied for second on that one. So it was such an impressive weekend for that guy. But even goes to show you how great of golf Davis Riley played. So without further ado, we're going to get right into our first break of the night.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Alright guys, welcome back to the GSMC Golf Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Before we get into our second segment of the night, where we will be talking about the rest of the leaderboard at the Charles Schwab Challenge, how it shook up the FedEx Cup standings, I would love to remind you guys that if you have a comment or a question for me to read out loud live on air, it's a great way to interact with you guys that are in the stream right now. Use the tips and donations link at gsmcpodcast.net if you would love to see, me be able to read out any questions or comments that you guys have out loud live on air. But without that, we're going to get right into our second segment of the night, rest of the leaderboard at the Charles Schwab Challenge. So I did talk about it a little bit. You had fantastic play from a lot of guys in this field. Usually a winning score at the Charles Schwab Challenge is around 9 under, as it's a very difficult course. It's a par 70, so scoring's lower, of course. So, if you think about like a par 72, maybe this course being, you add 2 strokes to everything. That's Davis Riley has a winning score of 22 under. If you're following my logic on that, so par 70s are a lot harder to get higher scores on, and Davis Riley still puts up 14 under. Such a impressive one for this kid. But the rest of the leaderboard shook out. Basically, Keegan Bradley tied for second with Scottie Scheffler, both of them at 9 under. Keegan Bradley had a great round 4. Scottie Scheffler, a disappointing round 4, as he went into the day 4 back of the lead at 10 under. He has been playing good golf as of late. I mean, it's Scottie Scheffler. He's leading every single statistic on the PGA Tour this year, but not getting it done on round 1 or round 4 in this one, shooting a 72 and a 71. He put himself in a position to be able to win with a round 3 63, but was unable to do so. So it led to a little bit of a anticlimactic ending. We go into the day kind of expecting Scottie Scheffler to play very well and maybe steal this one from Davis Riley, but he does not live up to the task, and he shoots a 71, going 1 over on the day, and 2 different rounds in the green for Scottie Scheffler. That is very unlike him. he doesn't shoot in the green that often. For those of you that are a little bit newer to golf, shooting in the green means you are over par shooting. Let's say it's par 70, you shoot a 71 on the round. So, for Scotty Scheffler, disappointing. But fourth is Colin Morikawa, who just was steadily very good this weekend, shooting 8 under, 68, 69, 67, 68, all 4 rounds under par. You have a lot of bogeys on that round 4 that makes this scorecard a little bit worse than it might have been. Bogeyed 4, 7, 10, but birdies on 1, 2, 14, 16, and 17. Really, Colin Morikawa was shooting very well this weekend. Then you have Mac Misner, who shot 5 under. He's not really competing in the FedEx Cup standings. This was a surprise one from Mac. Not a winner on tour yet, so finishing top 5 could be very good for him, creating some momentum going into the rest of the season. Sepp Straka, who has been kind of in the top 5 as of late, he's been playing very great golf the last few events. So Sepp Straka 5 under, tied for 5th with Pearson Coody, who combined with Mac Mainer. All of those guys combined tied for 5th at 5 under. A lot of 5s in that one. And then the rest of the top 10 is David Lipsky, Sungjae Im, and Robbie Shelton, all shooting 4 under. A couple of notable guys. You have JT Poston at 3 under, Adam Scott 3 under, Maverick McNeely 2 under, Matt Kuchar 2 under, Tony Finau, who was doing really, really good and then shot a 75 on Sunday and just kind of tanked from the top of the leaderboards. He was 7 under going into Sunday, and he finishes 2 under. Not saying that he was in position to win this one. However, he was in position to get second and really raise his FedEx Cup mark, but he does not do so, and now he went into the weekend at 42nd in the FedEx Cup standings. Now he's at 41, so a little bit disappointing from him. And then a couple of other notable guys: Brian Harman tied for 24th at 1 under, Minwoo Lee 1 under, Tom Kim 1 under. You have Justin Rose, who was even, Jordan Spieth finishing 1 over, having a pretty disappointing round 3 and round 4 after a pretty good round 2 that was very promising for him, really, but just can't get it done. Jordan Spieth, it's been a while since he's been able to really get it done on tour. He's just been around these, cut marks for the last few years here, so hopefully he can turn it around. But that wrist injury, he just is a shell of his former self. We talk about it kind of every podcast, just when is he going to finally be able to heal from that? When is he going to be able to break out? And it hasn't been recently. Ricky Fowler, another guy that didn't have too great of a week. He finishes 1 over. He has a 76 on Sunday. A lot of people just completely tanked on Sunday. Just kind of in this pack, you have all of the guys tied for 37 were just kind of abysmal on Sunday. 76, 76, 74, 73, 73, 72. All of them not playing too well. Jordan Spieth, Ricky Fowler are both in that pack. But yeah, Ricky Fowler 6 over on Sunday. Very disappointing, as he was 5 under. Put himself in contention, not to win, as I said, but to be maybe second, kind of competing for that silver at the Charles Schwab. And then, some guys that missed the cut. Andrew Novak missed the cut. Harris English missed the cut. Thomas Dietrich, who is currently 20th in the FedEx Cup standings, missed the cut. Cam Davis, Joel Damon, other guys. You have Austin Eckroth that missed it. Sam Ryder. A lot of notable names in this tournament. A lot of notable guys were not able to make the cut, play their best of golf, and it led to just a Davis Riley, masterclass, I guess you could say, for this one. So what it does for the FedEx Cup standings, now you have Davis Riley, who went from 151 to 55th now in the FedEx Cup standings, winning all 500 of those points. That was for the winner. Keegan Bradley and Scotty Scheffler tied for second, so they combine, and Scotty Scheffler goes from 1 to 1. He's, of course, the leader in the FedEx Cup standings. He's pretty much won the FedEx Cup at this point. He's been playing such amazing golf on all of these non-major, and he still won the Masters, but he has been so impressive this entire season. He's running away with this thing, so he remains at first. Keegan Bradley goes from 46th to 26th. He jumps that top 30 threshold and now is in line to play in the Tour Championship later in the summer. So very impressive for him. Colin Morikawa goes from 8th to 6th. Seb Straka goes from 25th to 22nd. Other guys that made big jumps to help their case is Sungjae Im goes from 29 to 25, and now he looks like he is comfortably going to be playing in that Tour Championship. JT Poston went from 22 to 21, looking like he's going to be in the Tour Championship. But yeah, a lot of guys playing some good golf, putting themselves in good contention to do really good for their FedEx Cup standings and play in the 3 event that you get from placing well in the FedEx Cup playoffs. So just an overview of what it's looking like right now. Scottie Scheffler is in the lead of the FedEx Cup with 4,351 points. He leads second place, who is Xander Schauffele, by 1,700 points. That is basically 3 wins on tour. That's very, very, very difficult to overcome. So it does look like this is kind of a formality at this point. This is Scottie Scheffler's. Even though we're only about halfway through this golf season, I would say we give it to him right now because he's playing absolute amazing golf. Xander Schauffele, as I mentioned, coming in at second with around 2,700 points. Wyndham Clark in third at 1,900. Rory McIlroy in fourth with 1,800. These guys are very close. Wyndham Clark having a great start to the year, but Rory McIlroy coming up having a great last few events. Now he looks like he's going to be contending for that third spot. Seth Theegala coming in at fifth. He's had a fantastic year. He didn't play in this one. Neither did Rory McIlroy or Wyndham Clark or Xander Schauffele. So Scottie Scheffler really the only big gun playing in this one. You have Colin Morikawa, as I mentioned, at sixth. Byung-Hun An, he is at seventh right now. Ludwig Oberg, he's at eighth. Hideki Matsuyama, although injured right now, might not be able to compete too much going forward on the tour, but he is right now at 9 with 1,348 points. Shane Lowry at 10th. This is a fantastic season for Shane Lowry. Very impressive what he's been able to do. Some other shocks, you have Jason Day at 13th. He's been playing great golf this entire year, kind of competing on the leaderboards for a lot of events, not being able to win one just yet. But he's been in contention, and he's been close to that mark this entire year. So impressive golf from Jason Day. Justin Thomas at 14. He's been playing good golf. He did not play in Fort Worth, I believe. Patrick Cantlay at 15th. He didn't play at Fort Worth. Max Homa at 16th. We're going to get a lot of these guys back for the RBC Canadian Open. Very much looking forward to this tournament, as a lot of guys took the weekend off because of the PGA Championship last week. The amount of mental toughness and fortitude you go through for that weekend is a lot. So it's understandable that these guys take the week off. A lot of guys take the week off after the Masters as well. So we're seeing it again at the PGA Championship. That's why it was a smaller field, and Davis Riley ran away with it. He might have ran away with it even though you had these great golfers playing, but you never know now. And the rest of the guys on the cut line for the 30th is Harris English. He's at 30 right now with 914 points. At the 50 cut line, you have Jordan Spieth and Taylor Moore on either ends of it. 673 for Taylor Moore, 664 for Jordan Spieth. Victor Hovland is also 53rd, fighting for that BMW championship. Of course, all these guys can also make a run for the top 30. We're still early in the season. All of these guys in this middle end tier will change eventually, so it's very fun to keep track of this going throughout the year, see who's going to be eligible for these qualification tournaments from the FedEx Cup. You also have Emiliano Grillo, who's in this 58th mark. We talked about these guys that Davis Riley is now near with his win, jumping from 104 points now at 604 points. So very impressive from him. And then right at the top 70 for the St. Jude Championship, that is Cam Davis and Charlie Hoffman, a very prestigious event for these guys to make. looking forward to seeing how this shapes up. You have a lot of guys on either ends of all of these marks that will shape up as the season continues to roll on. But that'll wrap it up for our second segment as we talked about the rest of the leaderboard at the Charles Schwab Challenge, how it shaped up. It was Davis Riley winning it, Scotty Scheffler, Keegan Bradley, Colin Morikawa on his tracks, unable to catch up though. And that'll wrap it up for our second segment. When I get back, we'll be talking about how important are coaches in golf.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
Alright guys, welcome back to the GSMC Golf Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. This is our third segment of the night, and we are talking now about how important are coaches in golf. And it is a conversation really catapulted by the Davis Riley win and how his coaching change really helped him at the Charles Schwab Challenge. He reunited with his former coach Jeff Smith, going through a couple of months where he changed from, I forget his recent coach's name, but he goes back to his coach Jeff Smith, who has been coaching him for most of his life, and now it helped him with all aspects of his game. I talked about it in the first segment. I'm going to restate all the statistics that really showed up in his win here. He started with him at the Players' Championship to Jeff Smith after his disappointing, I believe he got cut from the Players' Championship. And then Davis Riley has been, kind of battling to get back to that point. But and I'm now going to look at kind of his results in recent memory, because you have the win at the Charles Schwab Challenge. He does not get into the PGA Championship. He goes tied for 66th at the Myrtle Beach Classic. That was earlier in May. At the CJ Cup, Byron Nelson, he was tied 30. The Zurich Classic, which he won, he did not. He finished tied for 28th, and he won that event last year. He was cut from the Valley Road Texas Open. He was tied for 14th at the Houston Open, cut at the Valspar, cut at the Players Championship, and then a surprising win here at the Charles Schwab Challenge. So what's different? What really goes into this? Because he had such a disappointing beginning to this year. I mentioned those recent runs, but even before that, the Century tied 52nd. Then you get cut at the Sunny Open, cut at the Amex, cut at the Farmers Insurance Open, 78th at Pebble Beach, coming in dead last. Mexico Open, he was cut. Not a lot of golf being played by him, and then he just suddenly wins this one. So he talked about how important the coaching change was for him. He mentioned that reuniting with Jeff Smith, it wasn't reinventing the wheel of his swing. It's just, I feel like I'm in a good headspace and comfortable there, and I feel like simplicity has been the key for me. And, those are words that Jeff Smith has told him, and he echoes now. Here is just to be comfortable with your swing, don't do too much, and that leads to a fantastic performance here. He doesn't have a lot of scores where he's in the reds, right? He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all year. He has 5 red scores all year. And it's been very disappointing for him. However, he gets this win here at the Charles Schwab. So Jeff Smith really helps him out. He goes 6th in strokes gained off tee, 4th in strokes gained putting, 2nd in strokes gained on approach, 69.57 on scrambling, all aspects. That is driving, putting, irons, wedges, every club in his bag were working for him. The fairway woods were great. The entire weekend was so impressive from Davis Riley. I can't say that enough. And this, the reason I want to talk about this as a bigger conversation is because I kind of have noticed this as a trend in golf lately. I talk about it with Victor Hovland very often, how he hasn't been having a great year after he won the FedEx Cup last year. Very out of the blue, not having a great year here for Victor Hovland. And why is that? Well, after he finished in 2023 as the FedEx Cup champion, Victor Hovland changed coaches very, very surprisingly. Nobody really saw that coming. He changed philosophies. He kind of lost his way in his game, and then he reunited with Joe Mayo, who coached him throughout the entirety of 2023, and then he reunited with Joe Mayo right before the PGA Championship. The week before, he finished third at the PGA Championship, and that has been the only event that Victor Hovland has played in since he reunited with Joe Mayo, as that was 2 weeks ago, and he did not play at the Charles Schwab Challenge. But going into the RBC Canadian Open, he's definitely a name that I want to watch, see how he plays. Another name that kind of went through the same way is Colin Morikawa. Before the Masters, he talked about being in a transition period. He split with lifelong swing coach Rick Sensinghaus in the fall. He then had pretty bad. He had a pretty bad run in the months following last fall. And then ahead of the Masters, he got on the phone with Rick, and then he, met up with him a few times, helped him out with his swing again, and then he finished tied for third with Colin Morikawa. He said after his round on Sunday, he said, "It's been much better." He was asked about his headspace. I owe a lot of that to Rick. Obviously, joining back up with him, it's been awesome. It's not like we've done anything new. It's just being able to talk. That's the exact same thing that Davis Riley really said, was it's not anything, reinventing the swing here. It's just getting in the right headspace, talking through it. This goes to show how much of this sport, how much of the PGA, how much of golf is so mental. It's such a difficult sport when you think about the mental side of it, as well as placing the shots. Victor Hovland, after the PGA Championship, said, "I thought this was going to be a little bit of a project and maybe take 6-8 weeks before I would see kind of immediate improvement. Instead, he contended for the win on Sunday." And then he said again, "Yeah, that was kind of the best case scenario right there," kind of joking after his win after his third place at the PGA Championship. So it's a trend in golf. These guys going to a different coach and playing, or going to the coach that they found success with and playing so much better. Whether that is just the habits that they gain from being with that coach kind of helps them when it comes down to the week and weekends of the tour and playing at the actual course. Of course, you can't have your coach on, right there with you. However, a lot of these guys, are talking to them throughout the weekend. So it's just a place of home that these guys feel. Rory McIlroy, he went to see Butch Harmon, I believe a few weeks ago before his run that he had. He said the work I did with him wasn't a tremendous amount of changing what he did. It was his attitude and the way he played certain shots. From 150 yards out and in, he made me do a full swing like he was hitting a driver, and I wanted him to make more like he was making a full swing like he was hitting a driver, Rory McIlroy, and Butch Harmon told him to kind of slow down, play 3/4, and that helps Rory McIlroy get 2 wins on tour. So a lot of these coaches, Butch Harmon, of course, being such a legendary coach, working with just anybody in the PGA field, he's retired recently, however, still working with guys, when they call him, especially a Rory McIlroy, who has been kind of searching for his game for a little bit while here. But of course, Butch Harmon being Tiger Woods' former coach when he was on his absolute tear from 93 to 2004. He was Phil Mickelson's coach from 07 to 2015 when Phil Mickelson was playing at the top of his game. Was Coach Greg Norman, Fred Couples, Ricky Fowler. Jimmy Walker, Dustin Johnson, Gary Woodland, Butch Harmon, the most legendary coach there has ever been in golf. There's a reason that people like Rory McIlroy immediately go to him when they're looking for something in his game. But yeah, these coaches mean something to these players. These coaches do a lot for these guys, not just for their swing. This is kind of what I wanted to highlight here, talking about those quotes. All of these guys are saying, we're not doing so much to my swing. I'm not changing anything really about how I play golf, because these guys aren't on the tour without having, some of the best swings, on the planet, right? So it's not so much about, changing how they play, how they swing the golf club, or just like how they play certain shots, what we're going to do like 58 yards out. What are we doing? Are we doing a 52 degree, 56 degree, 60 degree? What's the play here? What's the club you feel most comfortable with? And working with an individual, working with somebody that you are close with, feel very comfortable with, and can talk through those decisions with, really helps, all these guys on tour, really helps. As I mentioned, it helped Davis Riley in this one, winning the Charles Schwab. It's helped Colin Morikawa. He's played so well as of late. He's been in the top 5 of so many tournaments. And then Victor Hovland getting his 3rd place at the PGA Championship. And now Victor Hovland is going to, place so much better from how he started the year to now. I'm very much looking forward to how he kind of climbs especially in the FedEx Cup rankings, as he is known to win some of these lesser golf tournaments as he did last year, and that's what helped him. You have the RBC Canadian Open coming up, but the event after that is the Memorial Tournament in Dublin, Ohio, which is the tournament that Victor Hovland won last year. He played so well at that. So I'm excited to see how he plays, as he's for sure going to be in the field that week trying to defend his crown there. But that'll wrap it up with our talks about coaches in golf. Just to reiterate my thoughts here, I believe that they are so important, not just about the swing, but about, just having a place of comfort to go to, having that person to go to talk through your game, through your swing. It's not what like Wyndham Clark's going through with needing the sports psychologist. It's more of just like having that friendly face to make you feel comfortable throughout the tournament, throughout the weeks, because the PGA Tour is hard, because we're going from one weekend to another weekend to another weekend. It's great for me who gets to cover all of this, but it's very hard for these golfers who have to go through it. So, that'll wrap it up for our talks about coaches on the PGA Tour. When I come back, we'll be talking about Scotty Scheffler, that's the wrong one. Scotty Scheffler, and is his run ending or just starting?
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Alright guys, welcome back to the GSMC Golf Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. We're going to get right into our 4th segment of the night here, talking about Scotty Scheffler and his run that he is currently on, how amazing it's been. But a couple of bad scorecards that he is not used to, and, litigation issues with what happened at the PGA Championship, and, not playing his best golf when it does come to the PGA Championship. What's the problem? What's happening? Is it mental? What's going on with him? Just talking about his recent run, as it's been absolutely fantastic. Tied for 2nd at the Charles Schwab, tied for 8th at the PGA Championship, 1st at the RBC Heritage, 1st at the Masters, tied 2nd at the Houston Open, 1st at the Players, 1st at the Arnold Palmer, and then tied 10th Genesis, tied third. Waste Management, Phoenix Open, Pebble Beach, he was 6th. Amex 17th. That's his worst. That's his worst event of the entire year. That was in January. He's been amazing all year. Tied 5th at the Century last year. Finished off with the Hero World Challenge. It was first. BMW Championship was tied for 2nd. Does not play too well at the St. Jude Championship. But other wins he saw last year were at, of course, the Players Championship. Unable to get a win at any of the majors, winning the Masters the year before that. But it's been a very impressive run this entire year for Scottie Scheffler after a pretty, he placed well when it comes down to the leaderboard, but does not get a win to end after the Players Championship of last year. And now on this amazing run, but a couple of weekends in a row where he does not get a win. He has not historically played too well after, I would say, June or maybe even May has been kind of the mark, as last year he finished his run at the Players. This year he does win a couple of events beyond the Players, in the Masters and in the RBC Heritage, but not getting a win in June past for the past few years. Unfortunate for Scottie Scheffler. Is he going to be able to break through kind of this year, start playing better when the weather gets very hot for him? He's a Texan. It seems like this shouldn't be a problem for him, but it has been in recent years. But after Charles Schwab gets a tied second, the thing that concerns me isn't the placement on the leaderboard. It's him not playing the best of golf. He has been this entire year fantastic. Been the best player on tour, by a large margin. He's been number one in strokes gained on approach, number one in strokes gained off the tee, number one in strokes gained total, number 9 in strokes gained around the green on chips and putts, and then putting has been his not his strong suit his entire career. He's 75th in putting, but that's even better from last year. The amount of statistics that he leads the field in on the PGA Tour is insane. But that is before June, and we talk about this. That is all before June. After June, he has been a different player the past few years. Last year, as I mentioned, he didn't get a single win beyond the Players. The year before that, in 2022, it's not a single win beyond the Century Tournament in 2022. So for him, it's not been great beyond that May month. That's what's a little bit concerning. That's why I say, is his run kind of coming to an end right now? This could be the year that he turns it around, and then his run is just starting. It's a good conversation to have, because for a golfer like Scottie Scheffler, who is so amazing at so many things, it's kind of perplexing why he doesn't continue that throughout the entire season, like we've seen in years past with these runs that these guys go on. Jon Rahm last year was so fantastic throughout the entire season. You have players like Dustin Johnson in 2020, 2019, Will Zalatoris in 2019, guys like Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas in the mid-2010s, and Ricky Fowler in the early 2010s, Rory McIlroy early 2010s. These guys go on these runs for years and years and are consistent throughout the entire season. So it's weird to see a player playing kind of like what Scottie Scheffler is doing, where he's playing so well in the early months on tour, so well, and then he kind of slows down going beyond that. Once again, he is number one in the official World Golf Rankings. He's number one in the FedEx Cup standings. He's number one in wins on the tour, number one in money made on tour this season. And honestly, if he doesn't win another event this entire year, he would still be first in all those categories, rightfully so. But you still have the U.S. Open and the Open Championship, 2 majors that this guy definitely wants to claim in the future, that has eluded him to now. So looking forward to seeing what Scottie Scheffler can do going forward, has a lot of wins on tour. He has 10 wins on tour in his career, a bunch of second places. He got second place in 2022 on the U.S. Open. That's one of his better one of his best records beyond that May month. The U.S. Open has been a fantastic event for him in his career. He's come in second. He's come in third. Before last year, he came in third. So, not being able to get a win, however, playing very good golf. So, we're maybe looking at that stage for him to break through, gain his second major of the year. Unable to win at the PGA Championship, but he definitely can win at the U.S. Open. This guy is a fantastic golfer in all aspects of the game. He plays fantastic from the tee all the way to when the ball gets in the hole. Number one in every single statistic besides actually putting. He has so many hole outs. Just a fantastic golfer that we're watching in the peak of his career. Hopefully he doesn't slow down though, because to build the legacy, you're looking for him to win over a longer span of time, and this could be this could be the opportunity that he needs to do so. So for Scotty Scheffler, you're expecting this to maintain, as he's first in scoring on the tour with an 67.5 scoring average, averaging like a par 71 on all courses. Every round he's about 3.5 strokes under par already. Not that many scorecards with in the greens. I believe he has like 5 all year long, and 2 of them were in this past weekend, which is a little bit of cause for these alarms. I would not be having this conversation if he, of course, went out and was up there with Davis Riley in the 12, 13, 14 under territory. But with the scorecards that he posted on Thursday and on Sunday, a little concern for him. And, of course, as I mentioned in the last segment, for Scotty Scheffler and for golf is such a mental sport, and it's so hard to get past that and those limitations that the mental side of it has on you. And when you're going through a litigation issue, when it comes to something that happened right next to a golf course, that could be a little bit tasking on somebody's brain, and especially on a golfer's brain. So that might be playing a little bit of a factor into Scotty Scheffler and what we're seeing with his play this year, and not in this year, but in these past couple of events and the rounds that he's posting. He posted 63 on round 3, which makes the scorecard look so much better than what it was shaping up to be before that. So for Scotty Scheffler, I could just be talking out of my back end here, completely blowing this out of proportion, and I probably am. It's Scotty Scheffler here. But talking about what history has shown us in the past is he's not great beyond the month of May, and he does not get wins beyond that. I could just be talking absolute rubbish, and he could go out at the Canadian Open and win it, and maybe win the Masters, and then you have the U.S. Open after that. This is Scotty Scheffler we're talking about here, the best golfer in the world. So for him, these next few events and next few months are going to be very telling to kind of how he plays going on and on into the PGA Tour calendar and throughout the year of the PGA Tour. But with that being said, that will wrap it up for our 4th segment. When I come back from my 4th and final break of the evening, we'll be talking about the importance of the RBC Canadian Open, the event that we have looking forward to this weekend. Alright guys, welcome back to the GSMC Golf Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. We have our fifth and final segment of the night, talking about the importance of the RBC Canadian Open and how fantastic of an event we had last year. This is really what this all stems from, is Nick Taylor's spectacular win last year in Canada, the Canadian winning on home field or home grass advantage, whatever you want to call it, but he had such an electric finish to last year, getting a eagle on the par 5 18 on the fourth playoff hole, and now he is the reigning champion of the RBC Canadian Open. He beat Tommy Fleetwood in that playoff. He sunk I think it's a 72-foot putt to win it. Unfortunately, I can't show that because of copyright, but I really wish that I could show that video for you guys. Nick Taylor, such an electric finish last year. A fantastic golfer. It hasn't been playing too well this past year, but what we saw last year and the absolute pandemonium that came over Canada, and after that win by Nick Taylor was so special and something you just love to see. One of those this is why people love sports moments, really, from Nick Taylor here. 72-foot putt for an eagle to win on the fourth playoff hole is cause for the pandemonium that it got. It meant so much to the RBC Canadian Open that they changed the logo of the Canadian Open now. And I wish I had the picture, but you guys should definitely look at it and at how it is new now. But they changed the logo for the RBC Canadian Open to show to Nick Taylor winning that fourth playoff hole. But Nick Taylor had a fantastic event last year. Round one was horrendous for him. Started the week off shooting a 75. Then played so amazing, 67, 63, 66 to finish it off. Finished 17 under and got into a playoff with Tommy Fleetwood, where you see all these pictures happening. But I want to talk about, and this isn't the reason I want to talk about this right now. Thursday, when I come back for my second golf podcast of the week, we're going to be talking about previewing the course, talking about my picks and predictions, talking about the players in the field. So we're gonna move past what happened last year. I'll probably bring it up a little bit, but just talking about it right here, I think it made sense, and you have to talk about it. It's a fantastic finish. It is the most Disney finish that we've seen on tour in a very long time. Nick Taylor, after he won that, first off, there was a 69-year drought since a Canadian won the RBC Canadian Open. So he said, to break that curse, if you want to call it that, I'm pretty speechless, said an emotional Taylor. I don't think it's going to sink in for quite some time what happened today. He a 72-footer on the fourth playoff hole is just fantastic scenes. He said after that in the interview, I heard someone shout out there everything, and I don't know any other word to use other than that, describing that moment and what it meant for him. I think it's a tournament that we've circled on our calendar since probably junior golf. He saying, when he says that, we talking about all the Canadian golfers, there is this is a tournament that means so much to so many people. Adam Hadwin has talked about how much this tournament means to him, a fellow Canadian golfer. Corey Connors, another fellow Canadian golfer, talking about how much this one means to him. Adam Hadwin, who was watching that putt go in, playing in this one, I think he finished, actually I could see, he finished tied for 12th at 11 under last year. So watching it, he said it's incredible. I mean, what do you say to one of the greatest moments of Canadian golf history? Said Hadwin. I think we all predicted that this was going to happen. I'm not sure that any one of us predicted a 32-foot eagle putt in a fourth playoff hole to get it done, But what a way to go, and that very much perfectly describes that. Another amazing Canadian golfer, Mike Ware, was also there, who was so happy. He said, "My heart is pumping for him still." That's just an amazing finish. All of these guys, if you were a Canadian competing in this one, or if you were Mike Weir just watching from the sideline, everybody was so happy for Nick Taylor, so excited, just so pumped for him, and it really goes to show how much this tournament means to everybody, every Canadian golfer on the PGA Tour, as there are a lot of them that love to play in this event, that care about this event so much. All of them playing in this one this weekend. It's going to be so much fun to watch. Of course, I'm going to watch for Nick Taylor, seeing if he can repeat, watching Adam Hadwin, see what he can do. And then, a lot of other guys that are going to be there as well. You have Sam Burns, who definitely could be in contention with this one. Just so many, Canadian golfers that paved the way for generations. In this moment is such a huge moment in Canadian golf history that it definitely deserves a look back on, and deserves talking about kind of the history beyond it. Nick Taylor has since not really been able to break through again on tour, but this weekend is definitely one where we're looking at him, seeing if he can continue his his amazing play up in his home country, where a lot of these guys play very well compared down to the States. Adam Hadwin has been able to win a few times in the States, but a lot of these golfers playing a lot better on their home soil. Of course, these are the courses and conditions that they grow up playing. We don't play in Canada until June for a reason, because of how awful the conditions are always, because of the cold and the weather up there. But these guys are used to it. All of the grass and the surface is so firm for many months, and probably even through this tournament it'll be pretty soft, or pretty firm, not soft, and pretty hard to hit on top of. But I'm very excited for this tournament. There's no chance that it ends in the same fashion as it did last year, a Canadian winning it on a 78-foot, how long is this? Let me get it. 72-foot eagle putt for the win. Fairy tale. That's the word to describe it. As he used the word everything to describe it. I'm so excited to see what happens going forward, and going into this weekend, and going into the RBC Canadian Open, as it's a big event without all those ties as well. There's $1.62 million up for first place. You get 500 FedEx Cup points, which we mentioned how important that 500 FedEx Cup points was for Davis Riley, who jumped from 150th to now he is 50th in the FedEx Cup standings. So anybody, any week can win on the PGA Tour, and doing so really puts you in contention to play more golf. And who doesn't love playing more golf? There's a reason people do it for a hobby, I guess. But that'll wrap it up for our Tuesday broadcast from the GSMC Golf Podcast. Thank you guys all for tuning in. All your support is much appreciated. If you guys want to follow, like, or subscribe to the stream, to the podcast, wherever you guys are listening, it is greatly appreciated. All the reviews that we get are greatly appreciated. If you guys would also like to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, we would definitely welcome that as well, of course. But thank you all for tuning in to this Tuesday podcast, and without that being said, goodbye.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to work.